in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania with RE/MAX 360 Realty, and I specialize in first-time homebuyers and relocation clients. So today, I am going to be talking about 5 things you should be aware of before you move to Pittsburgh. I think a lot of people believe that Pittsburgh is this like sleepy steel mill, Rust Valley, Rust Belt city, and while some of that is a little bit true because we are in the almost Midwest, so there are some features of that, Pittsburgh is a very lively, varied, up-and-coming city with a lot of things to do and a lot of things going for it. So let's get started. The first thing you should be aware of when moving to Pittsburgh is that the infrastructure and the topography are relatively tricky. The infrastructure is very old and it was not built to handle the capacity of car traffic that we have. As a result, a lot of the roads are in disrepair and there's a lot of construction going on everywhere, which causes a lot of traffic problems for a city that is so small and has so few ways of getting around. There's a couple bridges and a couple tunnels, but really beyond that, there's not a lot of ways to get around Pittsburgh, and all of those tunnels and all of those highways have a lot of traffic because everybody's trying to use a different way to get around, and with the construction, it's just not feasible. So a lot of the time, you actually find that you kind of have to sit in traffic, especially during rush hour.
Traffic.
This just adds to the reasons why people stick to the South Hills, the North Hills, the East, or the West. People don't typically like to drive all around the city because it can be such a pain because of the infrastructure. Also, the topography is very hilly. There's a lot of hills and there's even some mountain ranges in Pittsburgh, the most notable one being, of course, Mount Washington. This makes driving in the snow and ice and even the rain kind of tricky. And it's not a fun experience, I've got to say. I dread driving in the snow, even though I know how to do it pretty well because I've been living here my whole life. It's something that you're definitely going to need to come to terms with, and it's something that you're going to need to face, and it's something that you're going to need to learn how to do because getting around Pittsburgh without a car is sort of impossible unless you live in the right place, but that's not always feasible in this city. So more than likely, I'd say 85% of the time you're gonna need a car to get around. You could live on a trolley line, but that's mainly in the South Hills, and some people do not want to live in the South Hills for a lot of reasons, mainly because it is very, very, very densely populated down here and it is difficult to get around anyway. And, you know, the walkability score is not super great down here besides probably Mount Lebanon and Dormont, but those communities can be a little bit expensive. So driving a car around, probably gonna be pretty necessary to get anywhere. And you gotta learn to drive in that snow and ice. All-wheel drive, that's gonna be your best friend here in Pittsburgh. The second thing you should know about Pittsburgh is that the schools and the education here is far better than you might think. Our public schools here in Pittsburgh are some of the best in the country. I'm not sure why that is, but it's been that way for as long as I can remember. I remember a lot of people from different states being like, oh, I wish I could go to a high school in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh or the Philadelphia area, because our public schools here are very, very, very good. The standard of education here in Pennsylvania is top notch. So if you have children or you want to start a family, this could be a really great place to move because you want your children to get the best education possible, and here in Pennsylvania that is 100% doable. Also, our colleges are pretty good. We have a tier down from Ivy League here in CMU. I'm not sure what standard that is, but it is honestly it's a world-renowned university, and it's got some of the best minds and best professors and best programs there at CMU. It is difficult to get into the school because it is a very, very prestigious school, but it's one of the hallmarks of Pittsburgh and why Pittsburgh is so great for education. We also have the University of Pittsburgh, which is also well-renowned around the country, and a lot of people move here, or a lot of college students relocate here for the University of Pittsburgh for its incredible programs. I believe the medical program at Pitt is quite good. and the business programs at Pitt are quite good. So you can really churn out a great career with a degree at Pitt. So something else to consider. I personally went to Chatham, and I felt that I got a really great education there. Although it is a private school, it is a little bit expensive. The student to teacher ratio is quite balanced, so I really felt like I was getting individualized attention at Chatham University if you were considering Chatham as one of your college picks. And I do feel that I am well educated. Thank you very much. Third thing you should know about Pittsburgh is that while it is very affordable to buy housing here, the food and the utilities are expensive. Now, the food is expensive because we're landlocked, and it takes a lot of money and time to get food into a landlocked area. If we were on the coast, food would probably be a little bit cheaper just because it would take less labor to get food there. So your grocery bill can be kind of high here, and also our utility bills are pretty high, mainly because it gets very cold here and the houses are old and they can be drafty, so it can suck up a lot of a gas bill. Electric is expensive, I think, because I think coal is probably outsourced from Pittsburgh nowadays. So again, that's more bringing supplies into the city. That's gonna cause the prices to go up. And the water and sewage bills are actually pretty tame here, so you don't have to worry about those as much. But yes, gas and electric bills are high here, and the food cost is very high here. I think it balances out well because obviously having equity and wealth in a land asset is going to be much more beneficial in the long run than if you were to live somewhere where you didn't have that asset and you were just getting by on the less expensive food and utilities if you were renting. But it's just something to keep in mind when you think about the relative affordability of Pittsburgh. Not everything is cheaper here, but if you add it all together, it is cheaper than a lot of urban and metro places in the US. The fourth thing you need to know about moving to Pittsburgh is that the taxes in Allegheny County in particular are pretty high. Now, if you live in the city of Pittsburgh, you're going to have a 3% income tax, which is pretty high. Although some areas of the city, you're going to have a lower property tax. The income tax, again, it's killer. It's not great. And if you live in the suburbs, or if you live outside the city limits, the property taxes can be really high in a lot of places depending on the millage. Just the Allegheny County taxes in general are quite high. If you were to move to Washington, Butler, Beaver, or Westmoreland County, for instance, you would dodge a lot of those Allegheny County and property taxes that people so dread. But living in Allegheny County is a very beneficial thing, in my opinion. Although the taxes are so high, it has a lot of stuff to do. It has all of the things that you need to live. It has the grocery stores, it has the hospitals, it has the nightlife, it has the museums and the parks and all the activities. It's all right here. So it is difficult coming to terms with paying so much in taxes, but again, a lot of that actually ties back into the education point that I made earlier. Our schools and our education is so good because of this taxation, and we are paying our teachers well in tenure. So with that taxation, we are able to supply some of the best education in the country, and the taxes only go up from here. I mean, they're never gonna go back down. But if you're looking at it from that standpoint, then the taxes can be really worth it if education is something that is important to you, and if living in the city is something that is important to you. It may be worth it to really try and sort of wrap your mind around paying those taxes so that it's less of a hurt and less of a burden to you. And the last thing you need to know about living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is that it's not just a sports town. I know we get all this flack for being just a sports town. Oh, it's just a sports town. All they care about is the Steelers and the Penguins and the Bucks and that. Yeah, that's actually not true. I know a ton of people that live here that do not give one hoot about sports. So it is not just a sports town. Even though sports are huge here, I mean, don't get me wrong, they are huge. It's not just that. We have museums, we have arts, we have nightlife, we have parks. We have great houses and great community and a great sense of community here. We have a downtown area that has a great urban feel and a lot of things to do, namely in the Strip District. We have a lot of hidden gems that are yet to be explored by so much of the population. It's not just a sports city. There is a ton to do, and there is so much community and friendship to be made here with all the wonderful people that live in this city, which in my opinion is one of the friendliest cities in the US based on my travels. So don't think that if you're not a sports fan that Pittsburgh is not for you. We have plenty more to offer than sports. And one way you can get more educated on this is by downloading my relocation guide, which is chock full of information about Pittsburgh at your fingertips, and it supplies all of that information about, you know, things to do and some of the museums and some of the parks and more information about the neighborhoods and all of the good and bad things about Pittsburgh in general. So if you are interested in relocating to Pittsburgh after this video, please provide your information on my website. I'll have the link in the descriptions box down below if you'd like to sign up for that relocation guide, and I will send it right to you after signing up with that form. I also have a first-time homebuyers guide at your convenience if you feel a little bit nervous about moving to Pittsburgh and it's your first time buying a home. Want to know more about the pros and cons of moving to Pittsburgh? Just check out the video that is also in the descriptions box below. It's going to be a video about the good things and the bad things about potentially moving to Pittsburgh. And it is a brutally honest account. And you know, you're always gonna get honesty from me. So thank you very much for watching this video. Again, if you liked it, please click that like button. Please click the subscribe button for more content. And if there's any videos you'd like to see, please leave it in the comments box down below. I would love, 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 love to hear from you. I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.